As we continue our discussion about flow, we're going to discuss today what triggers flow. How do you get into flow, and how can you stay there? And what can you do in your daily practice in order to make things happen better? And there's low, medium, and high ways of getting into flow. One of the ways that I believe it's Amazon does is they have, and this is called a low flow trigger. They have a policy where you have to always say yes. If someone comes to you with a new idea of a process or something like that to do, the manager can't just say no. They have to write a 2-page article. They have a 2-page report on why they're going to say no to this specific process or whatever the suggestion that they made, and they have to post it on a company bulletin board to show why they can't do no. So what they want to do is they want to say, let's take every avenue and investigate it and follow it through with it, even if it may not be a very great idea, but let's follow through on these ideas. Often a pretty bad idea leads to a great idea. A medium flow trigger would be something like having autonomy plus uninterrupted concentration and allowing you to get deep embodiment into the process that you're working on. Because flow follows your focus. So what are you focusing on is what's going to trigger your flow. So there's things called individual flow triggers that help to me or you individually, and then there's group flow triggers. So individual flow triggers are things like passion and purpose. How much risk is involved with the specific item that you're working on? The risk could be personal risk or could be company risk, which is going to narrow my focus, and I'm going to be focused on that because it's a risky thing that I'm going to do. Is it a novelty item? Okay, that I'm working on. How complex is it? Is it unpredictable? Okay. Will I get immediate feedback when I'm working on it? Is it a clear goal that I'm working on? Do I have one objective in that thing? We're not talking about goals like what are your 6 months or 1 year goals. I'm talking about what's your goal in the immediate session that you're working on. Is it challenging to the skill level that you have? Okay. Is it creative? Does it involve pattern recognition? These are all things that are gonna kick you into flow faster. And I've noticed when I'm working on something, all of a sudden I'll get intense focus, like if I'm reading an article or something like that, and I'll feel like I'm losing track of time. And if I have a meeting or something that's coming up, I have to watch myself because all of a sudden I'll be in there for an hour and then I end up missing the meeting. So in that case, I want to set an alarm to interrupt the process that I'm working on so that I don't miss whatever my schedule is for that day. Now, if we go into group flow triggers, and this is when I'm working with multiple other people, it could be on a sports team, it could be in some other, brainstorming session or something like that. What triggers the group thing is when we have group concentration. We have complete concentration of everyone in the group. We have a shared goal, and again, this is not a 6-month goal. This is a goal. What is the purpose of the meeting, or what is the purpose that we're here today gathered? If it's a sports game, it's to win the game, for example. Or the immediate task might be, I need to get a goal, or I need to get a score some points right now. That's the goal that we're working on. The fact that we're sharing risk across a number of people for the team will increase a flow trigger. Okay, so when you say yes to a suggestion or something like that, you're adding to it. If you put up a lot of negatives and you start critiquing something and saying, well, this is bad, or this is using the wrong reinforcement on those items, that could break you out of flow and it could disrupt the flow of the whole group. Close listening, we're all together, close listening is going to put us into flow. We're all going to be focused on that one item. Do we have autonomy? Do we have a sense of control of what we're adding to the group? And what happens is you get a blending of all the egos in there, and the egos start to drop off, and you get everyone working harmoniously together. And how familiar are you with the people in the group is going to change the way the group dynamics are, and have you get into this group flow. And is everyone participating equally in the group? And then everyone has to be open for communications. In one of the books I was reading, they were doing there was a bunch of people who were practicing for a marketing campaign or something they were doing, where they were gonna go. They were in one of these suits, like you have the suit on, and you're basically flying through the air. It's almost like wings. And the marketing agency wanted them to jump off a building and to go around these buildings for some reason. I don't know what the goal was, but they wanted to go around these buildings. So what they did is, to practice this, they went to like Switzerland, where there was some mountains that were similar in air currents to what they were expecting in the buildings. And when they all jump off, they were all kind of going like, almost like when you see a flock of birds, when a whole bird moves at the same time, the whole flock is moving. They got to the point where they were going, and the person in the lead would turn, and they would all turn at the exact same time as they went around this thing, because they were all in group flow and they were all attached to each other somehow, and they were all acting almost as if they're one person as opposed to multiple people. So group flow is very important for group activities. We see this in sports teams. We see this in military endeavors. We see this in R&D groups or writing groups, for example. If we have a bunch of people writing, say, an episode for a TV show, they can be really engrossed, and they're all in flow, and they're all contributing to whatever their characters that they're writing, and they're all able to get stuff out a lot quicker and a lot more creative. Extreme triggers are everywhere, especially in a culture of innovation. We have novelty, complexity. Is it unpredictable? How much risk is associated with it? Is there a passion associated with it? And then again, we need the clear goal of whatever we're working on for that minute. We want immediate feedback. We want to have autonomy to be able to do what we want to do, and we want to have our balance between our skill level and our creativity. So we want that balance in there. Now, in the U.S. Air Force, what they found is they do something called transcranial magnetic stimulation, and what that means is that what they do is they put magnets on the person's head, and they pulsate it between 1 and 10 cycles per second. Again, 10 cycles per second brings you to the alpha frequency in your brain, which also brings you into a flow level. So they're using this transcranial stimulation with magnets, and they use this right before, say, a radar operator is going to go on shift. And what they're able to do is they can keep that state that they've gotten into for a half an hour or an hour while they're working on it, and they're able to pick up patterns and stuff in the radar signatures much quicker. And they also found that 4 days of focused meditation increases their cognitive function. So by learning to meditate for taking a class, say, for 4 days, they're able to get into this flow state much faster. So there's many different ways that we can get into this flow state, and what we want to do is we want to work on that. When I in one of my classes that I teach meditation, and a majority of what our end goal is to have this intense focus, and to be able to go into this on demand by going into a specific level of our mind on demand, and being able to enter what has been identified as a flow state in order to be more intuitive and be more creative, do remote viewing, do all sorts of things. So if you're interested in any of that kind of stuff, go to my website, sign up for one of my classes, and investigate how flow can change your life.